Thank you, Inspector General. Would you like to make a comment, Commissioner?
Well, I have a question for the Inspector General. And you know, while, as you know, I disagree with many aspects of your report, I do appreciate getting the report, and we will be discussing it later and looking for ways that we can improve our processes going forward. But I do have a question on at least one piece that you mentioned today, which did not come up in the report, and that's the memo that you referenced that Ruth Hirsch drafted, which was on what date?
That was drafted on the 4th at night, and it was promulgated, it was drafted the final form on the 5th, before Secretary Revel. In fact, during our interviews with Ruth Hirsch, I asked the question, what explains the existence of a letter to the board saying that the commissioner had recommended disapproval of Gloucester? And she said that she prepared two versions. One saying that we were approved, and the other not approved. But that is simply not true.
So
we looked at the history of the documents. The first one was created, the first two, the memo to the board and to the charter school applicant group, were created between the time of the charter school office informing you.
I understand the proposition you're putting forward.
And the time that Secretary Revel sent his email.
Inspector General, I understand the proposition you're putting forward, and you characterize this as a 180-degree reversal. My question to you on that is, did you ask Ruth whether the commissioner asked for that memo, or was aware of that memo, or saw that memo?
No, I did not ask that. I did not ask that.
Because the fact of the matter is, I wasn't even aware of it until after you conducted your investigation.
Well, I understand your comments. But again, I raise the issue. When the Secretary says to you,
no, I
understand. I appreciate your openness and flexibility.
I understand the proposition.
And I thank you for not seeing this as an independence issue. It's really a matter of positioning ourselves.
I understand the proposition.
That, again, was further evidence of the fact that an idea was conveyed by you that it was going to go down as a three-way turn down for the charter applicants.
Inspector General, I understand the proposition you're putting forward. So my other question is, did you interview the Secretary in regard to when he learned from the Commissioner that the Commissioner was going to recommend this charter for approval?
I asked you that question in our interview.
Correct.
And you told me
I understand
that the Secretary was heavily lobbying you.
Correct.
But that he was never aware of the fact of what the process that was used within the charter school office. That was your recollection.
So my question is, did you interview the Secretary to understand in the time frame that you're recounting when the Secretary learned that the Commissioner was going to recommend the charter school?
Well, as I said, we did observe the fact that there was an email close to midnight on the 5th in which he referenced a phone call to you in which he was asking you if you would consider recommending Gloucester, and then 24 hours later saying, it looks like we're going with Gloucester. That pretty much pinned down the timetable.
I guess I go back to the question I'm asking you. Did you interview the Secretary in this regard?
No.
Madam Chair, I know we don't want to discuss this, in great detail now, but the Commissioner makes a point that I was not interviewed with respect to this. I will only clarify, since you've raised it, Inspector General, the point about the email the subsequent morning, which, again, in context, because it's very easy to take these things out of context, reflects a phone call that happened between the Commissioner and myself subsequent to the email, which, again, ends with a question mark and is in my role, as you pointed out, as a board member, to have an opinion on a situation where I hadn't seen the charter school report either, and there was a matter of the Commissioner's view on this, which we rely on, being, he had two that were out of question, one that was charter school that was a possibility, because though these criteria have been portrayed as bright line criteria,